Okay, let's run through this. The diagram that follows shows the market for agricultural products. The shift from the old supply curve to the new supply curve is the result of technological and scientific advances in farming. Calculate the change in consumer surplus and the change in producer surplus caused by these technological advances. Are buyers better or worse off as a result of these advancements? How about the sellers? Okay, so we know that the consumer surplus is anything below the demand line and above the price, right? That's consumer above the price right there, right? So that's consumer surplus, right? So it'd be way up here. We don't know. We can't figure out what that number is, but we don't need to because it's asking for the change in it. Okay, so the change, when we have the new supply line, the change is going to be the addition of the consumer surplus, which is now down here because it's everything above the price, right, and below the demand line. Okay, so the new part of the consumer surplus with that new supply line would be this area in here, this area, right? And so we need to figure out what the number for that area is. Well, this is 11 minus 8, so that's a 3 difference. So rise over run, well, not rise over run, sorry. The height is base times height for a rectangle, right? And so base is 3 times, or the height, I'm sorry. The height is 3 times the base, which is also 3, but 3 million in this case, right? So 3 times 3 million is 6 million. So I would have, I'm sorry, public math here. 3 times 3 is 9. So I'm going to have 9 million, right? So this rectangle, it's just the rectangle alone is 9 million. But I got to add in this little triangle too. So 0.3 times 3 is 0.9. But because this is a triangle, it's not that full area. 0.9 would be the full area of the full rectangle, right? Because of the equation for the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times width, or base times height, right? So the height is 3, the base is 0.3, so we're going to get 0.9, but then we need to take 1/2 of that. So that's 0.45. 0.45 plus 9 that we got out of this rectangle is 9.45. Okay? So that would be 9.45. Now, for the producer surplus, right? The producer surplus is the area, and we'll shade it in here just to show it, right? Is the area below the price but above the supply line, right? So the initial producer surplus was this whole area here, right? So what is that? Well, that's 5.5 because 11 minus 5.5 is 5.5. So this distance here is 5.5 times this distance here, which is 3, and then times 1/2 because we're only taking this, taking half of it because it's just the triangle. It's not the full rectangle of that base times height idea. So 1/2 base times height would give me that rectangle. So we're going to get 5.5 times 3, and of course it's in millions. So that's 16.5 million divided by 2. Okay, so that's 8.25 is what I had initially before we changed the supply. But now that we've changed the supply, I've got this is my new producer surplus above the supply line, again the new supply line now, right, and below the price, and the new price is at equilibrium, so the price is at $8, right? So it's this triangle now it's that triangle now for a producer surplus. So now we've got 6 times 3.3, 6 times 3.3, and that equals 19.8 divided by 2, which equals 9.9. 9.9 is the new. The old, something's not quite right. It doesn't seem. Let me think about this. Oh yeah, yeah it is. Yeah it is right. 9.9 minus what we had before was 8.25, 8.25, and the answer for that is 1.65. Now I think the reason why I was hesitating because I think maybe there's another version of this question, and maybe the numbers are a little bit different in a different version. Because in a different version I saw 3 point something here, and that was not correct. Okay, so if I've got more consumer surplus and I've got more producer surplus, that means that the buyers overall, right, there's more buyers. So as a group, they're better off because they've got more surplus, right, as a group. And as a group, producers are better off as well, not as much as the buyers are, but they also have more surplus. So they're both better off. So I think that should help you, hopefully. If not, let me know.